Hello, I'm Sena, an expert for real-time people and object tracking. I'm here to introduce to you features of Sensalytics. Today I'll show you how powerful our real-time tracking engine is. With our hardware-agnostic people and object tracking platform, you control your business in real time and generate valuable strategic insights for optimizing your locations. Let's dive into the platform. The outcome of tracking in the real world is, of course, a heat map. What you see here is a retail store showing the movements of clients and employees. The green objects are clients, employees are shown as purple squares. With Sensalytics, you get a nearly perfect tracking accuracy showing the position of each object. Additionally to this, you get the gender and age. So how do we classify the people as employees or other classes? We'll come to this point later. But first, I'd like to show you our dynamic motion heat maps. The classical heat map you see here shows the hot and cold zones based on every person. But this is not really interesting since you want to know how visitors behave and ignore employees. I'll only select people who were classified as visitors. So, only non-employees who did not buy something. The filtering on object classes can be combined as you like. Let's filter on the heat map of people who bought something. You see a different behavior compared to non-buying visitors. Now I'll run a heat map video to show how it developed over time. That's our dynamic motion heat map. One of the main components of our path analytics solution is the object rule engine. This engine allows you to define unlimited, individual classifications of the objects at your location. You may separate employees from buyers and wanderers, but also self-checkout from traditional checkout payers and companions. People who got advisory and people who didn't. People with shopping carts and others without. Separate cars from bikes and people. What I'm showing you here is the object classification of a retail store. Every class gets a design and a behavioral definition. Put simply, which zones did the object visit, when, and for how long? For example, a customer must come in through main entrance, being at the checkout, and goes out using the main entrance. You may also add the object type as a filter to your classes. Using the combination of movements and attributes of objects, structures and sorts your data in usable dimensions for generating valuable insights and real-time actions. At Sensalytics, we have the dwell, viewing, and interaction time of every object. This allows you to find out if a person was only standing in a zone, looking at the screen, or product, and for how long. Another tracking case is the situation of a road intersection. Since Sensalytics is hardware agnostic, all our features work for 3D stereo and LiDAR sensors. Let's have a look at a road intersection at which we track vehicles and people using a LiDAR sensor. Any indoor or outdoor situation can be tracked. With the Sensalytics floor plan designer, you have the full power of generating path data for any object. Counting lines and tracking zones build the foundation of our path analytics data. We just draw the logical elements into the scene. From now on, we will generate movement data of every object in the scene. By the way, the most important thing in tracking is full path. We need the full journey of every object, because without full journey, any classification, and therefore heat maps and KPIs do not make sense. I'll jump to the configuration of a small boutique at which we do not only track dwell time, but also viewing and interaction time. The viewing time shows the situations at which a person was attracted to a product. Interaction time is tracked when a person looks at the line of interest and stands within the zone. This massively increases your analytical depth for understanding the behavior of your visitors. 3D stereo and LiDAR sensors track very accurate, but only the area the multi-sensor can see. That's why we created a tracking feature called wormholes. We can connect tracking scenes from different multi-sensor across different technologies and vendors. Let me show you. What we see here is the ground floor of a shopping center. This shopping center has also an upper floor and basement. We use wormholes to connect 3 multi-sensors for generating the full path of all persons within the whole building. In this case, the connecting areas are the escalators. The arrival and departure wormholes are connected in real time. This allows us to track the full journey of people when they come out of an upper store or lower store. Since the full path rate is essential for any KPI, we also merge broken paths in real time. This increases data quality many times over compared to the pure use of sensor data. I've talked a lot about heat maps and data quality. Let's come to the real usage of our complex tracking technology, the reporting. I'll jump to our report designer. This tool allows you to get any data from single person's paths up to annual aggregations. But I'd like to demonstrate the difference between full path, merging technologies, and simple sensor-based dwell times. Therefore, I prepare a report filtering on a specific site and date. You will see the average dwell time of all people tracked within the store. This includes employees, buyers, and non-buyers. This dwell time is mostly misleading, since it uses the time of every person who was in that zone. I'll use now our classification. We classify objects based on their behavior to use them for grouping and filtering. I'll create 2 additional metrics which show the average dwell time on non-buying visitors and people who bought something. The report shows the big difference of handling tracking data like we do it compared to others. Let me summarize. A path analytics system must have full path, object classification, and a powerful report designer. Our technology works in real time. This is not just a nice-to-have analytical feature. It is the base for semi-automated operations in real world. Using the platform in real time, you may integrate it with in-store communication, checkout control systems, and signage. Let me show you 2 examples. The first example shows the checkout area of an hypermarket. We track the SCO, the scan and go, and traditional checkouts. With our real-time object classification, we separate employees, cashiers, and customers from each other. Using this real-time tracking, you may open and close SCO gates, call employees, and automatically open and close checkouts. Our platform transforms your checkout operations to the most possible efficient areas in retail. At the second real-time case, you will see how we use our full-path real-time tracking to create a virtual basket. With our touchpoints feature, we receive external data, for example, coffee machines, shelves, etc., to add grabbing and purchases to the virtual basket of each person. As soon as the person with touchpoints moves toward the checkout, we transfer the basket to the SCO or POS, virtually in the background in real time. Let me focus on the behavior of one client who grabbed a coffee and went to the POS. In this moment, the cashier knows what product this client got. Using this semi-automation powered by Sensalytics increases customer satisfaction and reduces loss. I hope you got a good overview about the tracking capabilities of Sensalytics. With our Path Analytics features, we give you both strategic data and a platform which controls your operations. We don't just talk about tracking, we define it.